Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're going to be looking at the sign of Aries today. We're going to be taking a look at what energies and messages would like to come through for those of you who are, I guess, are watching this video, regardless of whether or not you have significant Aries placements in your natal charts, and regardless of when you're watching it, when you're watching this video. Do we need that? No. Thank you. 4. 1, 2, 3. Oh, 4. Thank you. So what I'm going to do today for this reading is I'm just going to pull a few cards, 8 cards. Okay. Um, and then just see what the message is. They're kind of just jumping out at us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and yes, you, 8. Okay, what's that? Clogged. Okay, but it's going to the back. Interesting. I'll keep that here. Breathe and clogged. Okay, okay. We'll keep you hanging out there. And I'll save that. And then let's throw some tarot into the mix. God bless it. 3 cards. Thank you. Oh, victory card. That's great, Aries. Oh, let's go. Great, great. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's jump in. Whoever you guys are, God bless you, first of all. Um, I'm being told that the news here that is coming through is to give you a boost of moral support. Okay, so again, I want to remind you, don't have to have any significant Aries placements in your chart. Everybody has energies from the constellation of Aries because you are on this earth, and that constellation is just emitting its energy, and we just happen to be in line with that. But so there's still something here for you. But I want to let you know that there's a couple of messages coming through. Number one, I'm getting that you haven't done anything wrong. That's the first thing. Now, regardless of whatever story you just came up with, whatever narrative, even if the whole world would be like, yes, you justifiably, objectively did something wrong, I want to let you know that Spirit is coming through to say, actually, I paraphrase that, but actually, you have not done anything wrong. The issue that you're having is that you and the rest of the world are only able to perceive of, always remember this capital P here, perceive of a limited uh, uh, portion, let's put it this way, of reality, a little bit of a perspective. Imagine if the actuality is, whoa, much larger. For example, you see my cute little hands. And then here we have this whole world and earth history and society and understanding of self and the universe and everything based on what we see, which are these 2 hands. But the reality is that actually it's a whole body here. You literally can't see the rest of it. And so when Spirit says things like that seems so fantastical to us, where it's like you didn't do anything wrong, or this didn't actually happen, or only love is real. The reason why you struggle is because you don't have the perspective to see how that is actually a reality. But just understand that by you at least keeping that in your back pocket, it at least again puts you in the right direction, that puts you on the right trajectory towards recognizing once again your existential innocence. Whereas right now, you're likely facing a trajectory. So many words coming out and only one tongue, right? Trajectory that is oriented towards you being guilty. So you have to understand that even though we're looking at 2 different directions and we're talking about trajectories and down the line, it actually makes a very big difference in your practical everyday consciousness, conscious mind consciousness, and even subconscious consciousness, because it reflects an underlying value that you hold. And if you've been following this channel, thank you very much, by the way, then you know they've been browbeating us lately to remember that law of mentalism, that as you believe about yourself, so will you experience in the world of matter, right? And so therefore, it really matters, pun intended, what you believe to be true about yourself. And so if there's going to be any second coming, whatever you want to talk about that in terms of information, in terms of somebody being birthed on earth, in terms of return or whatever, it's going to be a correction to the mindset. The mindset is not that you are guilty, it is that you are actually innocent and you're on this planet out of the purpose of working towards one day recognizing that again, recognition, putting it back all together again, integrating with self and understanding. So Spirit is saying in the very basic thing, hey, you've already won. You noticed the first tarot card that we pulled out, and what did I say? Wow, look at these cards, they're looking great. Because the higher up in the field you read, if you read down in the details, the he said, she said, of course it's going to look quite dire. But the higher up in perspective you go and you see more, and you start to see people's soul contracts, you start to see collective karma, you start to see individual karma, you start to see the different timelines, you start to see motivations, you start to see soul missions, you start to see individual soul curriculum, all of that stuff, you start to realize, oh, okay, things aren't looking so bad. We're on track. We're doing something. And this is what I'm seeing, whoever you are coming through today to watch this video. So these four cards are coming through majorly to say, wow, hey, everything is looking good. We are seeing a lot of they're saying diabolical machinations going on the earth today, but you really don't want to get stuck in this place of judgment when you view these things, because you're either judging other people or you're judging yourself. And the reality is that when you judge other people, you are judging yourself. And as you judge yourself, you are judging other people. Because remember, the reality is that we're all one. Just like you see two hands, but the reality is these are two hands of the same body. You just can't see it. And so if you follow this channel, you know, Spirit is always going to come through talking to you in terms of the everyday material so that you can understand your power and your ability to choose at a very practical level. But they're also not going to treat you like a child in the sandbox, and they're going to remind you of the reality that is. And that reality is looking upon you as a free will sovereign being who really understands this. You may have forgotten it down here, but just like any great teacher in a classroom who teaches lovely young children, God bless you, and also adult learning, the teacher has to have the vision not only of what the student is producing, aka what they're demonstrating proficiency or lack thereof in, but also what they're capable of. If the professor or the teacher doesn't even have an idea that this person can be capable or have a potential to learn whatever standard it is, then what are they doing? Right? So just like parents have expectations of their children. Now, obviously, parents shouldn't be over enforcing it and that, all of that, because that can get a little messy, but their expectations. So when we don't have visions of success for others, what we do is we're literally feeding the idea that they're useless and that they can't do anything, right? And so Spirit is not going to talk to you like that. If you want to be spoken to in that way, you're going to have to entertain the world and let the world speak to you in that way. But that's not what Spirit is seeing. Spirit sees you as like-minded individuals, as people on beings and people on the same level, capable of understanding what's going on, capable of making headway in your life, and capable of making more informed choices if you would allow yourself to make the effort. Right? So look at these wonderful cards. We have the Six of Wands, victory card starting out, very victorious. And then we've got the Six of Pentacles. And I'm seeing highlighted here the person on the left receiving coins. And that's the person I clued into as I feel into this collective of energy here, as opposed to the person begging, but also noticing here that the person still in that begging mode will be fed next. But right now, which one would you rather be, right? Then we see the Four of Wands here, and we see two people here, but we also see the Death card here. And the Death card, actually, that's not the Death card, that's the Hierophant card. No, actually, that is the Death card. Oh my gosh, it's giving similarities here. And it's actually over this one person here, which represents you. So what they're saying is that, to put it very simplistically, you choose your fortune here. Because here this person is on the Four of Wands, which is an exceptionally positive card. But yet she's questioning which way to go. And which way to go is really dependent upon her values. What does she value? And now in order to understand your value system, you're really going to have to get in there with the shadow work, with the meditation and the alpha state and the theta state and whatever states The point is it's buried deeply. And sometimes these things are so deeply buried that we can't actually quickly call to mind what we value in life. We only, it has to be triggered within us by something outside of us. So if you see something or you have an experience, some type of stimuli happens in your life, then it gives you the opportunity to reflect upon what your immediate reaction is, and also what story you're seeing, what are you perceiving of, and then what are you, what story are you telling? What words are you using to describe it, right? All of that means that you have to be in this observant position and to be able to see what it is that you're actually, what's going on under your own hood. Because at the end of the day, it's really all about you. It's by you, for you, and about you. Look at this. And the card that's crossing here is this Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords is this, it could be trapped thinking, obsessive thoughts. It's not a fun place to be mentally, but there's always a nuance with the Eight of Swords that people may or may not realize. The nuance here is that the way that you can uh, unbind yourself, quite literally, is by choosing a new perception. And if you follow this channel, then you know that we've defined it countless times. Healing, we've defined healing as a change in perception, because you are consciousness, right? That is the law, the mentalism law, the whole law of the universe is everything is consciousness. We just experience it in this plane as physical. We experience our thoughts as physical because we're in a physical plane, but everything is consciousness. And so healing can only occur at the level of consciousness, so in the mind state here. And so therefore, when you heal something, you have to change your core belief, you have to change your self-concept. And once you change that, then you will start to see changes occur by law in your physical body, in the world around you, all of this. But you also have to understand the level of shift that has to occur in that mind state. And if you think that you can kind of just sit down and just change your mind about something, then that's not this kind of shift we're talking about, right? These shifts occur when you go through shadow work, when you really do that get into that meditative state, when you hit rock bottom with things. Sometimes it's when things are so bad, for example, that you're just like, never again. And you make, sorry, I hope that didn't hurt. Never again. And you make that decision. And the next day, it's like you don't, you're living like a whole new life. And that's because you are. And then you never go back to that again because you've cleared something. And like I've told you guys on this channel, it's happened where I've seen in clients' energy fields that they may do something really well in this lifetime, or really kick some habit, or really make some big decision that even they may not be aware is such a big decision, because when you look in their past, maybe for the last 6 lifetimes or something, they've been working on this one issue, with or without the same souls, but there's the same one issue. And what they get to experience in this life is that watershed moment, that aha moment, that shift that is so great that they just have to celebrate themselves. But unfortunately, they don't realize how big it is, because they're in a lifetime where I guess most of the work has already been done in those last few lifetimes. And so in this lifetime, they get to experience that shift. Whereas in other lifetimes, they would have been working at it, maybe, right? Hopefully continuing to work at it, but not really seeing a change in it. But nothing is wasted as far as spirit is concerned. Okay. Ooh, I hate this card. Sometimes life stings. Whenever that pops up, oh Lord. Now, but what I'm seeing here, this and that are true. We love our dolphin spirits. Whenever dolphin spirit comes out and is talking about his this and that stuff, I start side-eyeing a little bit, because what are true, dolphin? You let me know. But he's actually coming through to remind us of paradox. Sometimes we have this idea, especially when we're in the in-between state in life, and we're straddling polarity. We're in between habits, like, oh yes, I'm quitting, but I can't quit. I'm trying, but not today. Like, we're in between things, or we keep going back to the same people, or just whatever it is, or we keep having looped thinking and we're struggling to make a decision about something. Hold on, let me check my timer here. Okay. And Dolphin is saying, remember, when you are consciously experiencing this parallel state or this polarity state where it's juggling, it's like the Two of Pentacles, it would behoove you to seek a third point up there. Because when you are only between 2 points, it's very difficult to actually make headway because you're just being thrown from one side to the next, to the next, to the next. And that's never a fun place to be. But when you seek a higher perspective, for example, moving from this 2 point perspective to the third point perspective, then what can you do from that vantage point? You can look down at that dynamic. And so this is why Spirit says very practically, when you're going through tough times in your life, you must call upon. Now, if you have religious training, you're going to be told to call upon God. And then depending on what religion you go to, you may have a certain name for that figure, right? If you are or if you do non-religious means, you may be asked to call upon maybe somebody in your community or a family member to give you perspective, a friend who hopefully knows what they're talking about, but who can give you that perspective. And if you're like spiritual or whatever you want to call it, you may appeal to your higher self. The whole point is to get an outside perspective. Now, if you are trying to process it yourself, you may engage in something that allows you to separate yourself from that dialectic, and that may be some type of mindfulness exercise, right? It could be journaling, could be something that allows you to step outside the narrative and then take uh, an approach that allows you to see things a little bit more. But whatever it is, you're being asked to recognize this in-between state that you're in right now. So if this reading is for you, you're probably in the in-between state and you're struggling a bit. Now, the reason why I'm also seeing that is because you're being asked to let something go. Don't let go of this cute little groundhog because he's way too cute, right? You're showing us you don't want to let go of the baby along with the bathwater. What you do want to do is you want to clear out the clutter. You want to look at what's going on. When we look at things, that's us actively engaging with the shadow. Now, this is not an excuse to live in your shadow and go through the victim consciousness and the narrative like for 30 years and you just can't get out of it, right? This is not that. Because at some point, you do have to kind of have some transformation. But what you do want to do is you want to look at what's going on. You want to reflect upon it, be mindful about it, and pick it apart as long as it serves you. Are you inundated with emotions? What emotions are coming up? Tell the story, comfort yourself. Is there a mindset that is along with that? What are the thoughts that go along with that? Really speak to the logical part, right? Get your whole brain involved. If you need to have somebody help you with this, a friendly local therapist or a friendly local reader or a really trusted individual, somebody in your religion who can really give you some insight, or your pen and paper or your trusty blanket who talks to you. I don't know, right? Whatever, we're out here, right? Then do that. But the point is that a lot of times why we're in between multiple states in our mind is because we still have structures visible within the energy field, by the way. So if you want to roll up, then we can work at that, right? But you have structures in your energetic anatomy, in your energetic space because of your mindset. So that could look like debris. It could look like tears in your energy field. It could look like, some type of construct. It could look like, I don't want to use the I word, implants, if that's something there, because a lot of people will be like, oh no, ETs, but actually sometimes implants are there for other reasons. Sometimes you put it there yourself, all sorts of stuff. Because self-sabotage can also be seen in the energy field as well. And so there are things in your energy field that may need to be removed. Now, if you have a lot of clutter in your life, if you are tripping over things, if your sink is filled up, if your schedule is overpacked, all sorts of things, those are also clutter as well, right? What about your evenings? Are your evenings quiet? Are you bombarded with noise, whether it's from TV, the neighbors outside, a dog barking, your kids running, all this stuff is reflective of your internal state it's bombarding you. So look closely at what you've got going on, because remember, Everything that's outside of you and your environment and all that stuff is a reflection of what? Your internal state. And so if you actually are having inner peace, you will experience outer peace. If you are not having inner peace, there will be turmoil outside of you. Could be in your own life, it could be in your own mind, it could be in your closet, it could be on the news when you turn it on, the TV, all of this, whatever it is, you're going to be exposed to that because out of all the things, all of the possibilities and probabilities that could be for you, you have manifested what you see around you and the dynamics that you share with yourself and other people. Now, that brings us to this next card. Sometimes life stings. Let's look at that as well, because remember, we're looking inside of your internal state right now. We're seeing this shift, this polarity issue that you're having and bouncing between two and two, and or one and one. I don't know. And as I said, there's a lot of stuff in your field. And right now is a time to release those things. We see energies from the past as well. And it can be a little bit painful for us because what? Because we're being asked to look into our field. And the whole reason why we don't want to look at certain things and they become shadows now and part of the shadow space for us is because they hurt. And on top of that, we perceive of ourselves in a way in relation to whatever these things are that we have memorized in a certain way, we perceive of ourselves in a way that is hurtful for us to face. For example, if you have some type of past event and it still haunts you today, or it's still kind of stressful for you and you've kind of tucked it away, it's because the way that your mind has chosen to experience that, the story that you've attached to it, and the concept about yourself that goes along with that. Like it could be like I'm a loser, I'm not good enough, I'm whatever, my father hates me, all sorts of stuff, I don't deserve to be here, all that stuff. And sometimes those concepts about self concepts are recorded as a child, pre-verbally. No one wants me in this family, for example. You don't think children notice that energetically? They may not have the words yet, but the spirit, the soul, and all that, it clocks it. And these things will continue to form that inner world, and of course, heavily contribute to the world that is brought into matter around this spirit as it makes its way through this lifetime, its lifetime. And so you have to understand that you're carrying all those things. And so you have a little bit of a task in this lifetime if you're really trying to be about it, if you're really trying to be about um, really bettering yourself, really looking within, alchemizing, taking this ascension seriously for yourself. And this is the path that you will have to look inside at some point because your progress is not going to come from outside of you. Because as you already remember, there is no outside of you. Now, there is an outside of you that you're experiencing because you're in this world of matter, but that outside is a reflection of the internal state. And so once you start to really work through the internal state and really make headway and have these aha moments in a non-attached way, not like, well, I sat here all night for the past week and nothing happened, because that's the wrong attitude altogether, right? And if you follow my channel, chances are you already know that because I've spoken to quite a few of you already, and a lot of you are already on it. You're on your stuff. So so you already know a lot of this. But if this reading is for you, just know that from a higher perspective, hey man, you're doing all right. Pat on the back. Now you may be experiencing right now a lot of tumult because you're being asked to look inside the closet that is yourself. And you are also being asked to release things that no longer serve you. Look at this storage. Yeah, to release things that are no longer serving you. For what? For the sake of release. And anytime you're releasing things, you're also allowing for more what? Energy to flow through, more of yourself to flow through, because energy that's coming into you is always yourself. Okay. Oh, okay. So the other day I was sitting and trying to do some, not trying, I was doing some self-healing on myself. And so what I do is I sit and I get quiet. Of course, I lie down in bed because what are we, animals, right? I want to lie down and be comfortable. And so I lay down in bed and I started just I started to tune in, just noticing what parts of my body are feeling odd or just what's going on. And every time I really do that, I always get like a feeling like pressure right behind my nose. So if you touch the tip of your nose and then you just, you know, go further back as if inside, not inside the nose itself, but inside the skull itself, but behind the nose area. So this is the nasal area, I guess. Yeah. I always get pressure there. And then when I feel a pressure there or anywhere in my body, what I do is I target that place and I start to have a conversation with it. I stop and I tune in and I'm like, hey, not like that, but I ask myself and I ask it, what is this? Why am I feeling this pressure? And then I'll even imagine like if I could take my hand and touch that space. So I would pick my hand up. I'm just showing you this so you guys can try it for yourself. If this is my nose, my nose, and the face here, I'll pick my hand up and I'll just wave it around because remember you have your physical body and then you've got the other level of your body. So you're still in your energy field, your auric field, your bodies. And so I just wave it around until there it is. There it is. I can touch it. I can feel the pressure. Now you may think, oh, I've got pressure behind my nose. Let me just rub my body, my nose area. It doesn't often correspond because where the nugget is, where the point of pressure is it may not be the physical body at all. It's on some level. So you just feel around until and you'll know when you feel it because when you feel it, your hands like, oh, and you could also feel it feels really good. And then just imagine yourself pressing it or shooting electrical energy into that space. And it can feel so good because it's like, yes. And sometimes you'll even sense, oh, this needs energetic flow. And then I will just imagine flush of energy, just a flush of energy like water flowing right in there. And what is that flush? What is that flow? It's universal energy that you're calling in, aka love, aka light, aka higher frequencies. That is what you need to fill voids in your energy field. So anywhere in your body you're experiencing pressure and things like that, feel around. And sometimes as I'm just oh my God, pump. Yeah, see, look, as I'm just pumping this energy flow into this space, what happens is sometimes like I'll just shudder, like my left leg will jump all of a sudden, and then I'll realize, oh, I'm actually servicing more than one area because it's a multidimensional field I'm working within. And actually, as a healer, when I'm working in somebody's field, I may be working at, like, let's say behind the shoulder, but then at the same time, I'm also servicing their right ankle because energetically they're linked and they are sharing some type of belief pattern that it has now created a structure that connects those two areas. And very often, if this structure has been there for a long time or whatever, they'll also report feelings or ailments or issues in the physical body that corresponds to those parts. Now, why is that the case? Because a healthy state of being for any human being is homeostasis. We understand that. We know that. That's a physical thing for us as well. But it's the same in your energetic anatomy. And in order to have homeostasis and healthy flow, I mean, health and well-being in your body, you must have flow of energy. That's it. And think about it like blood. If your circulation is off and a part of your body's not getting blood, what happens? It starts to A word, atrophy, because we need blood in order to keep things going. Oh my God, look, veins. Guys, that's what I'm talking about. We need the blood to keep things going. And it's the same with chi. So if you are cutting yourself off, disconnecting yourself from parts of yourself, what you're actively doing is ushering those parts into your shadows, or sometimes you're even just pushing things out of your mind, and that thing that you're not looking at needs to go somewhere, but you pushing it out of your awareness, and now it may go and it may hide out in your wrist or something. And then at some point you're like, oh no, I have this carpal tunnel. And then you go to the doctor and the doctor is pumping you full of meds and doing all sorts of stuff or whatever your thing is. It's not that, right? The problem is not anything physical. The problem is you're not looking at that belief. And that's understandable. It's called trauma, right? But you have to look at these things so that they can be what? Brought to light. Another phrase or another saying that reflects energy. When you bring things to light, that's the same as saying you're allowing life force energy to flow once again. And when you do that, you are revitalizing parts of your body. And so that's why it's really, 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 really important to take care of your mindset. So always remember, in this world, we're taught to be distracted. We're taught to be outside of the mind. Why? Because it makes people money and it keeps the human being and human consciousness at a low level. So now you just follow and you get sick. And when you get sick, you start buying things outside of you, seeking remedies outside of you to fix a problem that doesn't even belong to you, but you've taken it on because you've been taught to be in an unhealthy mindset. And now you over-identify with the body when the body is just a carbon copy of what's going on in your energetic anatomy. And what's going on in your energetic anatomy is a production of and result of your mindset, your consciousness, your I am, your self-concept. So when you start to heal what you believe yourself to be, in other words, when you start to take this law of mentalism seriously, you will start to understand, I have to guard my consciousness. So when they say things like, oh, the real war is the war in consciousness, it always has been the war in consciousness, but you understand that that quote unquote war or battle is over the minute you focus on what you need to focus on, which is your idea about self. When you start to self-accept, when you're in the state of self-acceptance, you're not in the state of what? Self-denial. Self-denial is the dissociation state. And it's the disassociation state. It's the shadow state. It's literally you cutting yourself off from part of yourself. And so we see how we do that as a collective, because we live in a fractal universe. We see how we do that as a collective when we start to get into divisive policies and breed division. And you got to choose right or left, red or blue, up or down, this country or that country. This is not the way to go. That's the way to keep you sicker and get you sicker, because you're over-identifying with things outside of you that have nothing to do with you. You come back to the self, which is where you really are. And look what's here, the pineal gland, right? The pineal gland is corresponding to your third eye, right? It's a super important gland in your body. And in fact, your glandular system is exceptionally important because because you're sweetly this energy field. You can call yourself a human energy field. You can refer to yourself as an auric field. It's your physical body and then your other bodies all together. There are like at least 7 layers of, corresponding to the 7 levels of your field, 7 chakras, super sweetly. Now, your chakras are there not to be cute little spinning wheels or cute little flowers with petals like this one and stuff. They're actually vortices or energetic openings for your energy field. And this is important because it needs to consume. Consume what? It needs to consume universal energy. So you can think about your cute little sphere that is your energy field, your human energy field, your auric field, as your individuated self from what? All that is, which is what you actually are. But this is you, the individual. And now you're a mini sphere. Oh, look, a mini sphere with multiple bodies and boom, in the middle. It's so dense with energy that you actually have what? Your physical body. But that's the last vehicle out of this entire vehicle that you have. Now, this energy field, this auric field that you are, allows you to navigate this plane and to do so safely. But if your energetic field, your auric field is compromised, if it's got the rips, the tears, open portals. If and in extreme cases where like let's say your seventh or level or seventh body level because of extreme trauma isn't even formed properly, all sorts of stuff. All of these things allow you to really be hurt and sick and all of that on this planet. Drugs, all that stuff compromise your field. Everything. So but the number one way to heal your this energy field or maintain it or make sure that it's safe is to have a healthy self-concept, because your self-concept drives everything. Now, once your chakras, they pull in the energy from the universal field, that it gets metabolized. So that's what the chakras do. They metabolize God source energy. And when it comes in, it breaks those energies down, because that's what metabolizing does. It breaks down that universal energy into components. And those components flow through your system, your energetic anatomy, through what? Your nadis, your radial system, which is like a 72,000 channels, subtle body channels in your body, and your meridians, right? Which is a whole bunch of channels. It's like your energetic body veins and arteries and all of that. That's what takes the subtle energy of universal energy and pulls it in through your body and delivers it to your central nervous system. And that is how the shape or the constitution or the quality of the energy as it's passing through your energetic structures, boom, becomes like this uh how can I say it? It makes the impression on your physical body. It hits your nervous system and then triggers certain hormones and all this. Now we could look in the body and say, oh, well, the DNA is doing this and that and that. But if you really understand energy, you understand that the DNA is taking its commands from the non-physical energetic anatomy that you carry. And so long story short, because I didn't mean to go into all this, but long story short, Spirit is saying that in order to really have health and well-being, in order to navigate this planet in a more informed way, in order to really pay homage to the multidimensional nature that you are, you have to work on that self-concept. Now, keeping it as simple as possible, you don't have to know all this about your natal system. You don't have to know all this and that. What you do need to do is work on the self-love, because it is the self-acceptance and the self-love, the I am, the affirmation of life, the decision to look at yourself and love yourself no matter what, right? To give yourself the grace, the mercy, and all of that. That is what allows for the flow of life-giving energy to come through your body and really spread out and give you this life force that you need. And then it also allows you to process these things and release these things that you've been holding on to in your energy field, which just looks like clutter and debris and all of that. You have to let it go by loving yourself. Because if you don't, what you're doing is, instead of being in that open self-love, self-acceptance, I am state that's life-affirming and self-affirming and flowing and non-resistant, you're actually allowing yourself to be in the I am not stage. And if it's an I am not stage, what's not flowing is you. Because you are universal energy and you need to accept yourself so that it can flow, the two, you and you can flow together. So if you're in this I am not stage, you are actually creating blockages for yourself. And when you don't look at what's going on in your field, you're continuing to hold on to those blockages. And if you're really out of alignment with stuff, you're going to blame other people instead of taking looking at yourself and being mindful about your role in your circumstances and in your conditions. Remember, we talked about I think it was in the July 2025 readings, we talked about the age of Aquarius being about taking personal responsibility. And that's important. Look at this, evolved. Divine psychic energy runs through you. You're being asked to finally step into your light, your illumination, your awareness. Give with gratitude and grace, right? You can't give to somebody else what you don't give to yourself. You have to, I was gonna say, I don't know what I was gonna say, but the word harbor wanted to come out. You have to harbor some of it for yourself. You have to harbor it for yourself first. Because when you do this for yourself, you create the conditions, quite literally, in the way that we just talked about, you create the conditions within you to become unblocked. And then the light can flow through you to other people. That's what it means to be made an instrument of God's peace or God's love or whatever. If you're not receptive to that flow of energy and that frequency, it cannot come from you. And that's why in the age of Aquarius, it's also important to have discernment and understand when you're working with other people, whether it's practitioners, whether it's medical doctors, whether it's the person doing your hair at the salon, whether it's a what do you call it? An organization, NPO, or whatever you want to give to, or whether it's a political party or a babysitter, whatever it is, you want to have discernment about what energies you're connecting to. If you want to get married, be mindful. Because if you're connecting and engaging and putting a big part of your life in alignment with others who cannot give because they're not even able to give to themselves, you just want to be at least be aware of that. That's when you start to understand making informed decisions, right? And it'll help you to avoid toxic situations that you don't actually need to be in at all. A lot of times people they feel like things are fate, F-A-T-E, but actually when they sit and they actually take a better look at it, they realize, oh, that was a choice that I didn't actually need to make. And if you follow these rules about sitting down and catering to a healthy self-concept, allowing yourself to see what's going on within you, loving yourself, accepting yourself, and all of that, and allowing for your health and well-being to naturally take its course, you're going to be a better steward of your own life and your own decisions because you'll be able to see better altogether. And then you'll also be able to help people, right? Let's look at the last view, gallbladder. Negative memories or trauma cannot be stored without healing. It will end up seeping out into your life. We literally just talked about all that, right? Colon, you're being asked to take a relationship to the next level. With whom? Who is it time to get closer with? You. It's you. It always is you. And in fact, when you're dating other people and befriending other people, they're just a reflection of you. So if you don't like that friend, you got to look at yourself because what part of you are you engaging with outside of you? And the second law of the universe reminds us that everything we see outside is just a reflection of what we believe ourselves to be. That is, the third eye will perceive its world in alignment with what it believes to be true. So when you cater to the health and well-being in that crown chakra area, in that self-concept area, in that I am area, and you get into integrity in that level, that's when you will have a healthier world manifest for you, and that will trickle down or precipitate down to the third eye chakra, and you will see a healthier space. That's why they say God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. Plain and simple. Toxicity is in everything I see because toxicity is in my mind. Uh, the Subaru is in every other car is a Subaru because what? Something about the Subaru is in your consciousness and it's more active than let's say a Toyota. So you don't see or a Peugeot or whatever it's called. You don't see those things until you hear about this new car and you're like, oh, what? This car? I've never heard of this car. You're like, it's been around for like decades. What do you mean? And now you can't stop seeing it on the road because now there's awareness, there's consciousness there. So start playing around with that I am space, guys, that crown chakra. And there's a lot of pineal work being done these days as well. So let's head over to the mesentery. I love the mesentery. Oh my God, it keeps your organs together and in one space. Cute. This situation is calling for you to have faith and trust that there is a safety net nearby. Yeah, you're the safety net. It's much safer to look at what you've got going on than to not look at what you've got going on. right? Anyway, whew, breathe. Yeah, a lot's trying to come out. I literally come on here just to do like 15 minutes and then it never works out that way. So anyway, I guess that's not my lot in life. That's not what God's asked me to do. Trust me, I try. I'm like, can I just get in and out and just do this reading? Because I have other stuff to do. Two of Wands, Knight of Wands. So super important information coming in. Oh, these cards are just so beautiful. Hold on, let me show you guys. Aren't they cute? So the Two of Wands, what I'm seeing here, the energy as it's presenting itself to me is this is you super sweetly on this path and being reminded that the torch, because there are two here, the torch that you hold is the one that lights your way. Notice there are two stars. So everything's looking hunky-dory, but you have to self-reflect on why you chose that torch. What is it? You may be like, oh, it's the most appealing. It feels good to me. It makes sense. Yeah, why? Anything will make sense in this world if you have the belief system that promotes it, endorses it, and allows it and enforces it, all that. So you have to look at your value system. Back up to that self-concept. What do you actually value? If you actually value this idea of being helpless, you're going to see yourself as a victim. And that's so deeply embedded in people for the last thousands of years, right? We talked about the age of Pisces being a very victim consciousness mentality for the collective consciousness, the collective mindset. And now we are really pushing people to get out of this mindset. It's not going to happen collectively. It has to happen individually and then roll out through the collective. Here we have the Knight of Wands rushing in on account of the torch that this person picked up. But as I'm looking at it, it's coming in and it's flying back out because what this person now is starting to wake up and observe what they're seeing. Before they didn't observe what they're seeing. They just saw two torches. And based on how they felt or what they were told to believe about who's an enemy or who to endorse or what to invest in or what's important or who's important or how they should spend their day, what they should eat, what they should look like, all that stuff, they were ushered into choosing one or the other. And the way things are going these days, people, it's so normalized to wake up and realize, oh, I'm holding one stick. I hate the others. I hate the other stick. And it's ridiculous. Guess what? They will also see two stars, two North Stars, there to receive them on their path. But they cannot make a proper decision and call in things properly until what? They establish a third perspective. Where's the third perspective? See that tower there? You've got to put both those sticks down. Put your hands in your pocket if you need. Look around you. Where am I? What am I looking at around here? What's the landscape? Get out of the dialectic and start looking at yourself. And then when you start to look at yourself and awaken and understand the context of things, then you can see other structures. There are better vantage points with which to view these two torches. So when you get into the tower that is the self and you start to understand how things work, and you look around, then you come and you choose a torch and you go on your way and you allow yourself to be go down the path of your choosing. Otherwise, if you're not actively choosing for yourself, you are actively being pushed and ushered down a path, timelines that are for somebody else, plain and simple. And so when spirit comes in with course corrections, it's always going to be the same thing. Hey, stop, wake up, put everything down, look inside, get mindful, understand what you're doing. Why are you doing that? Why are you voting this way? Why are you going to work there? Why are you dating this person? Why are you getting angry at that person? Why are you choosing to look this way? Why you have to start asking yourself this so that you can actually do yourself a service. And so again, as I saw him realize, oh, I want to put this down, that Knight of Wands energy that was rushing in fast. In other words, the manifestation is now going back outward. Because things will only come to you, it will manifest for you in alignment with the choices you're making. But it's gotten to such a point for humanity that they don't even recognize when choices are being made. They don't recognize where their choices are. They only see themselves and other people in alignment with the institutional learnings that they've had. Okay, it's not conducive to health and well-being for the human, at least not for those who are looking to ascend, those who are looking to better themselves, those who are actually looking to have health and well-being, not only in their energetic anatomy, but in their physical body. It starts with the mindset. And it's completely different from what you've been taught. But if you're still in that space of mainstream learnings, which are anti your health and well-being, you're going to write things off like, oh, woo woo, or oh, this is that, and cite your sources and this and that. Like, just unplug, get into yourself, reorient yourself, reintroduce yourself to yourself, understand that you're carrying things that you need to let go, because when you view from a higher perspective, they never belong to you. They were sold to you to believe that about yourself and other people by extension. Okay, so we'll end it there, Aries. We need all of you, Aries. Look at that, the Four of Swords. Put the sword down and get into yourself. It can't even be any clearer than this. It really can't. This is the rest card, by the way. Rest, temporary, meditation. Get into it, Aries. This is what we're doing. And it may be a tough call, but somebody's got to do it. And we need our Aries pioneers right now to help us out in this transition. Okay. God bless you guys. If you'd like to work with me more personally on pretty much any subject, or doing energy healing for you and working in with this kind of intuitive counseling, then you know exactly where to find me at my Etsy page. So chat later.